Hey, it's meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen here with a look at your forecast. We'll have another warm day, likely staying below 90, as we did have a little bit of a cold front roll through early this morning. That'll keep the temperatures down just a little bit. We also have some humidity in the air here in the Denver area that will help regulate those temperatures and keep us likely in the middle 80s to upper 80s with a mix of some sun and some clouds. But we'll start an overall drying trend over the next 7 days, possibly even longer. So let's take a look outside right now. It's Ball Arena here in downtown Denver. It is 73 degrees. You see the winds are calm and the dew point and humidity are relatively high. So we do have some humidity, some moisture in the air to help regulate those temperatures. That'll likely prevent us from hitting a 90-degree day, although we will see our fair share of sunshine throughout the day. We'll see a mix of clouds and sunshine in the Denver area, topping out around 86 degrees here in the afternoon and early evening hours. Most likely staying below 90 for today. We'll probably get our first 90-degree day of July next year, next tomorrow, not next year. Forecast high temperatures for Tuesday across the state, looking at mostly middle 80s here on the Front Range and Eastern Plains, a little bit warmer on the Southeast Plains, where we could get a little bit of severe weather today, but we're looking at mostly just isolated showers here in the Denver area, and the mountains are looking at a nice comfortable day in the 60s and 70s. The hottest Junes we've had in a while here. Denver International Airport, #2 all time. That's second to 2012. Denver Central Park, the 7th hottest June. And keep in mind, we did get a new sensor on that Denver Central Park station this year, so we don't really know how that's going to calibrate into things. But a warm June nonetheless, but 2012 also the hottest there. Fort Collins and Evergreen up in the foothills, #2 warmest June of all time. 2012 also the hottest on record in those areas. Dillon, #4 all time, and it's actually 2002, which was the hottest June in the mountains. As you remember, those a very dry and hot year leading to some wildfires in 2002. The severe thunderstorm risk for today, mostly in between I-70 and Highway 50. We could get an isolated storm, 1 or 2 maybe severe storms out that way. I have much more concern for the severe weather tomorrow, and we'll talk about that in a second. But let's take a look at the forecast for the Front Range here as we go through today. You see a mix of clouds and sunshine in the area as we go through the afternoon hours. Could get a storm here on the Palmer Divide in between Elizabeth and Lyman afternoon. Strong, maybe below severe limits, but still a strong storm, and they carry on pretty close to the I-70 corridor, but the stronger storms will likely be just to the south of I-70, just outside of this Front Range map that we have here, and then things kind of clear out once again overnight Tuesday, and that'll lead to a very warm day on Wednesday, and we'll have some moisture push in. We call it a dry line, where the moisture from the east meets the dry air from the west, and we're going to have a little bit of a dry line set up for Wednesday. And we could get some very strong, potentially very dangerous storms on Wednesday. Here's the severe thunderstorm outlook. You see the Front Range not included in this just yet. That could bump just a little bit the green marginal area as we go. As the forecast kind of evolves tomorrow, we'll have to see how far to the west that dry line pushes, but it looks like there'll at least be a line of storms on the eastern plains that will be potentially very dangerous, with supercells, with large hail and possibly supercell tornadoes on Wednesday. So we'll have to keep a very close eye if you live anywhere east of the I-25 populated corridor there. And I will give you a little bit more of a look here on the computer forecast model. As you see those areas in yellow, where the slight risk for severe thunderstorm risk. And keep in mind, the slight means that it'll be scattered. So instead of widespread severe weather, it'll be just scattered, but very strong, about as powerful as storms can get here in Colorado. So the level doesn't really mean that the storms are weak or that you only have a slight chance. It's just that they're scattered in nature, but we could see some 1 to 2 inch hail, some tornadoes, and some 60-mile-an-hour plus wind gusts. Here's the computer forecast model showing how Wednesday kind of sets up. This particular model has the storm initiation pretty far to the east, all the way out there towards Washington County along I-70 to the north. And I think that my feeling is that dry line will push a little bit further west, and the initiation could be a little closer to the populated areas, maybe in between Strasburg and Lyman, but about the same timing, just after noon on Wednesday. And then as these storms develop, you can see about the 1:30, 2 o'clock time frame, we've got some pretty powerful storms. Supercells could get 1 to 4 supercells between the bottom of Lincoln County, bottom of Elbert County, all the way up to the northeast corner there for tomorrow. And these cells are likely going to be very powerful in size, and they will be rotating storms, at least initially. And then as you see later on in the afternoon and early evening, these storms kind of form a bit of a squall line right along the dry line, which could take a little bit of the rotation out of the storms, at least wide scale rotation. And then you start to watch for a damaging hail and straight line wind effect out of these storms as they form that squall line. And another thing to note is how fast that line moves, potentially being out of the state by 5 o'clock tomorrow. So we'll watch between noon and 5 o'clock for that threat to develop in the Colorado area. The computer forecast model not showing much of the way of redevelopment back behind this, but we'll always have to watch for those outflow boundaries coming out of the storms from the east, pushing back to the west in the evening, that can sometimes give us a little extra dose of thunderstorms along the Front Range. Computer models don't really pick up on those outflow boundaries 24 hours in advance. It's usually more micro or mesoscale as things kind of start to develop. So it won't be really until those storms form that we'll watch for the outflow boundary signals being given. But there will be that potential, even though we'll have much drier air than we will to the east. Here's the forecast high temperatures on Wednesday. So we're likely going to get into the 90s along the Front Range, 92 in Denver. And on the eastern plains, they'll be moderated just a little bit with the early cloud cover and the high humidity out there on the eastern plains, and that'll help fuel some of those temperatures. And then we'll watch for the temperatures to start spiking in northwest Colorado. As you see the Moab up to 97, I think the Rangeley area could get into the middle 90s possibly. Here's the elevated wildfire risk for Wednesday because of that. We're looking at temperatures between 90 and 97 degrees up here in the northwest corner. Also humidity low, 9 to 14%. Gusty winds, not too bad, but 35 miles per hour with the heat and humidity it involved. That could elevate that wildfire risk. And we'll watch for the potential for a fire weather warning or a red flag warning issued on Wednesday. So here's the 7-day forecast. You'll see that we're looking for cooler and drier conditions on Thursday, July the 4th, and that is because a cold front will slide through on Wednesday evening, maybe late Wednesday night after those thunderstorms roll through, and that'll keep us nice and cool on Thursday with some pretty stable air. So the threat of thunderstorms on the 4th of July fireworks is going to be very low, which is something that has not happened in the last few years. It seems like the last 4 or 5 years, all the firework scenes were also combined with some fireworks from Mother Nature as well, because we saw a bunch of lightning in the background of our fireworks over the last few years. Keep in mind also the lower elevations, so some of those fuels that are in the 1 to 50 hour fuels are starting to dry out. So we haven't heard of too many cancellations of fireworks, but down at the lower elevations below 7,000 feet, we're starting to get into a pretty dangerous situation as far as fire weather is concerned. But I haven't heard of too many cancellations. It may be just in time before we really start to dry out for the heat of the summer, especially down there below 7,000 feet. So keep that in mind for your fireworks. Be very careful as we go through the next couple of days with those celebrations. Friday, probably still a little bit on the cool side, at least for the way things have gone this year. 84 degrees is a high temperature, certainly not anywhere near as hot as it's been through the last 40 days. Even the late May was pretty hot. And then we'll get into one more cold front probably coming around Sunday. And then the computer models are showing another area of pretty strong high pressure starting to build in, maybe starting as early as Tuesday. And we could be looking at another stretch of temperatures in the middle to upper 90s starting on Tuesday of next week and extending for about 6 to 7 days. So we have another heat wave in our very near future. So enjoy all these cold fronts. We had one this morning. We'll get another one Wednesday night. We'll get another one on the weekend. So those will regulate the temperatures just a little bit before the next heat wave comes in, which really looks like it's going to start around the Tuesday time frame of next week. So hopefully that helps you with your planning. Thanks for watching and have a great day.